The bell rang across St. Aurelia's Academy. That kind of school where the walls gleamed like marble palaces and students wore blazers more expensive than most people's rent. Down the long corridor, a faint squeak of old shoes echoed. It was Lena, the maid's daughter. Her uniform wasn't brand new like the others, slightly faded, patched carefully at the elbow. Every morning she came early because her mother cleaned the classrooms before sunrise. Her classmates didn't care about that. They noticed only her plain hair tie, her second-hand backpack, and the way her hands smelled faintly of soap. "Hey, soap girl, did you polish your shoes with detergent again?" One of the boys, Trevor, sneered, his friends laughing. Lena froze, holding her books tighter. "No," she whispered, her voice soft. "It's just water." Trevor smirked. "Oh, right. The maid's daughter can't afford polish. Maybe she can shine my shoes instead." His friends roared with laughter. Someone even threw a crumpled note at her. On it, in red pen, were the words, "Cleaner's kid." She didn't cry. Not yet. Because she'd learned from her mother. Don't let them see your tears, Lena. People fear silence more than anger. So Lena walked past them, quietly. That afternoon, during science class, the teacher announced something that caught everyone's attention. The annual National Robotics Challenge begins next month. The winning school receives $100,000 and a private scholarship with the sponsor, Arctech Industries. The class gasped. Arctech was a billion-dollar tech company. The CEO himself, rumored to visit the winning team, was the father of none other than Trevor Blackwell. Of course, Trevor and his group volunteered immediately. "We'll win it again this year," he bragged. "Last time our robot arm scored perfect precision." The teacher smiled. "We'll form teams, Trevor. Others should get a chance too." Lena raised her hand, trembling but determined. "Ma'am, may I join the competition too?" The room fell silent for a beat, then erupted in muffled laughter. You can't even afford batteries, soap girl. Do you even know what coding is? Maybe she'll clean our robot's wheels." Lena's cheeks burned. The teacher sighed, but nodded gently. "Everyone deserves a chance, Lena. You'll need a team, though." Nobody volunteered, except one person. Eli, a quiet transfer student from another city who always sat in the back row, sketching circuits instead of taking notes. He raised his hand. "I'll work with her." Trevor rolled his eyes. "Fine, you two losers can play in the beginners group. The real work's for us." After school, while others went home in their luxury cars, Lena stayed behind to help her mother mop the floors. Her mother, Rosa, looked tired, hair tied in a bun, cleaning cart beside her. "Long day?" Rosa asked softly. "Same as always," she murmured. They laughed again. Rosa paused, wringing her mop. "People laugh when they're afraid, honey. Maybe they see something in you they don't understand." "Like what?" "Like courage." That night, while her mother slept, Lena sat by the kitchen table, using a flickering bulb, old laptop, and spare wires Eli gave her. The table smelled of detergent and metal. Her screen displayed one line of glowing text, Project Nova. A robot, small but strong, designed to listen, to learn, something no one at her school had ever built. And that's how her secret began. Days turned to weeks. Lena and Eli worked after hours in the storage room, which doubled as the janitor's closet. With every beep, every spark, she felt herself growing stronger. Eli showed her how to code logic responses, while Lena designed hands from broken parts. But rumors spread.
Trevor's group accidentally spilled soda on her laptop once. Another time they hid her notes. One afternoon, Trevor caught her outside the lab. "Still pretending to be a genius? You're wasting your time." Lena met his eyes. Calm, cold. "We'll see." Trevor smirked. "You really think the judges will pick a Maid's kid over me, my father's sponsoring the event?" And he walked away. Eli clenched his fists. "He's not right about his father. It'll be unfair." Lena looked back at her robot, its tiny metal hand blinking red. "Then we'll have to make something so good they can't ignore it." On competition day, the hall buzzed with excitement. TV crews, parents, and even Mr. Blackwell, the billionaire sponsor himself, was there. Trevor's robot gleamed in silver, pre-programmed to perfection. Lena's looked humble. Rough metal, uneven wires, patched sensors. But when the test began, one by one, Trevor's team lost accuracy. Their robot's movement froze mid-command. "Error. Logic conflict," the monitor flashed. Lena glanced at Eli. He nodded. "Do it." She whispered a line of code quietly under her breath, pressed enter, and her robot moved. Smoothly, gracefully. It picked up each block with precision, even reacting when the judges spoke. A murmur spread through the hall. It responded. That's adaptive AI. Impossible without advanced hardware. Mr. Blackwell leaned forward, intrigued. Trevor's jaw dropped. When the final score appeared, Lena's name shone at the top. First place, Team Lena and Eli, Adaptive Neural Bot. But before the applause could begin, Trevor shouted, "She cheated! There's no way she built that! Her mother's a maid!" The hall went silent. Everyone looked at Lena. Her voice didn't shake. "You're right about one thing," she said quietly. "My mom is a maid, and she taught me to build something you'll never understand. Respect." The judges stared and then turned to Mr. Blackwell. The billionaire smiled faintly. Sometimes genius doesn't wear a suit. Applause finally broke through the silence, echoing through the grand auditorium like thunder after a long storm. Lena stood still, her hands trembling, not because of fear, but disbelief. She'd done it. She actually won. Reporters rushed forward. Flashes burst in her face, microphones pushing close. "How does it feel to win, Miss Lena? Did your mother help you with this project? What inspired you to create such an AI?" She barely knew what to say. Eli stepped beside her, quietly protecting her from the cameras. "She built it from scratch," he said firmly. "No help, just dedication." At the front row, Mr. Blackwell, the billionaire sponsor, was still seated. He hadn't applauded yet. His face was unreadable, sharp, calculating, like someone who'd spent years studying people who wanted things from him. Trevor stood beside his father, red-faced, muttering, "She doesn't belong here, Dad. It's humiliating." But Mr. Blackwell raised a hand. "Quiet, Trevor." He rose, buttoning his tailored suit, and walked toward the stage. Every camera followed him. Lena swallowed hard. Mr. Blackwell stopped right in front of her. For a moment, it felt like time froze. Then, with a faint smile, he extended his hand. "Congratulations, Lena. Talent like yours deserves recognition." His voice was calm, but carried weight, the kind that made entire boardrooms fall silent. She shook his hand, feeling her palm go cold. "Thank you, sir," she said softly. He nodded once. "Tell me, where did you learn to build something like that?" Lena hesitated. "From watching my mom. She fixes everything that breaks, with whatever she has." That answer made him pause. His eyes softened slightly. "Resourcefulness," he murmured. "That's rarer than money." Later that evening, as the crowd dispersed, Lena found herself standing outside the hall, holding her small trophy like a fragile piece of hope. Her mother, Rosa, arrived late. Her cleaning shift delayed her. When she saw Lena holding the trophy, Rosa's hands flew to her mouth. "Lena, you won?" she whispered. Lena nodded, tears in her eyes. "We did it, Mom." Rosa hugged her tight. "You have made me so proud." But in the corner of the hall, Trevor was watching them, his face twisted with jealousy. He had never seen his father look impressed by anyone the way he looked at that maid's daughter. The next morning, as Lena helped her mother in the school hallway, Mr. Blackwell's assistant approached them. "Miss Lena," she said politely, handing over an embossed card. "Mr. Blackwell requests your presence at ArcTech headquarters this evening. He wishes to discuss an opportunity." Lena blinked in shock. "Opportunity?" Her mother looked equally startled. Should she go? The woman smiled. "He doesn't extend invitations often. I'd take it." That evening, Lena stood before the towering glass building of ArcTech Industries, its mirrored surface reflecting the city lights. Inside, everything gleamed. Chrome floors, holographic displays, people in sleek suits. Lena felt small in her plain dress, holding her patched backpack close. She was led into a meeting room where Mr. Blackwell sat across a long glass table. "Sit down, Lena." His tone wasn't unkind, just serious. Behind him, a city skyline shimmered with golden sunset. "I reviewed your project. It's not just impressive, it's groundbreaking. Your adaptive AI code, we've been trying to achieve something similar for months." Lena's eyes widened. "You mean your engineers?" "Yes, and you, a student, managed to build a prototype that learns emotion through sound. That's extraordinary." Lena lowered her gaze. "It was just an idea." "Exactly," he interrupted. "Ideas like that change the world." He leaned forward. "I want you to intern here at ArcTech. We'll fund your studies, train you, and pay your mother's salary twice over, but in return, you'll develop your project exclusively for us." Lena's breath caught. A billionaire offering her a future. She looked down at her hands, calloused from scrubbing and building. "Sir, can I ask one thing?" "Of course." "Why me? You could hire anyone." Mr. Blackwell studied her carefully. Then, quietly, "Because you remind me of someone I knew. Someone who started with nothing, too. She was the smartest person in every room, and no one believed in her. I won't make that mistake again." Lena smiled faintly. "Then, yes, I accept." He extended his hand again. "Welcome to ArcTech." But as Lena left the building that night, she didn't notice a shadow following her from the parking lot. Trevor, leaning against his father's car, his phone in his hand, face twisted in fury. "So that's it. She takes everything. My father's company, my future." His friend beside him muttered, "You're not going to just let her, are you?" Trevor smirked coldly. "Not a chance." The next day at ArcTech Labs, Lena stepped into her new world. White walls, humming machines, robotic arms assembling parts faster than the eye could see. A holographic ID blinked on her wrist. Lena R., Junior Innovator. She had her own workstation, her own tools, and right across the floor, Trevor. Mr. Blackwell had assigned him to the same division, maybe hoping teamwork would fix what ego broke. Trevor didn't say a word, but the glare he gave her was enough. He'd been planning something. Days passed, and Lena worked tirelessly on improving her AI model. She barely noticed the late nights or the exhaustion. What she didn't know was that Trevor was watching every move, every line of her code. One evening, she returned to the lab after dinner and found her computer still logged in. Weird. She always logged out. She scrolled through her files and froze. Her prototype folder, Project Nova, was gone. Heart pounding, she searched everywhere. Then she saw the security log. File transferred to tblackwell@arctech.com. Her throat dried cold. The next morning, during the weekly briefing, Trevor stood proudly beside a new screen displaying her project. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, "I present Arctech's latest AI, developed under my leadership." Lena's heart sank. Mr. Blackwell watched with interest as Trevor played the demo. Her robot, her design, her code, running perfectly. When it ended, the room applauded. Trevor smirked. "I believe this could be a billion-dollar innovation for Arctech." Lena clenched her fists. Her lips trembled. She wanted to scream, "That's mine!" But something in her mother's voice echoed in her head. "Don't fight in anger, Lena. Fight with truth." As the meeting ended, Mr. Blackwell turned to her. "Lena, you seem unusually quiet. Anything to add?" "Yes, sir," she said softly. "I built that." The entire room fell silent. Trevor's face froze. "Excuse me," he said nervously. "That's ridiculous." But Lena stepped forward, opening her old laptop she'd brought from home. On screen appeared every version history, time-stamped, her code, her handwriting, her digital signature. She turned the laptop toward Mr. Blackwell. "I built it, sir, weeks before I ever came here." Trevor's face drained of color. Mr. Blackwell stood, slow and deliberate. His voice was quiet, but the room shook with its gravity. "Trevor, my office, now."
As they left the room, Lena finally exhaled. Eli, watching from the corner, whispered, "You did it." But Lena didn't smile. "No," she said quietly. "This isn't victory yet. It's the start of something bigger."
The silence inside Mr. Blackwell's office was so thick you could hear the hum of the city outside. Trevor stood across the desk, pale and restless, shifting from one foot to the other. His father's back was turned to him, hands clasped behind his back as he stared out the massive glass wall. "Dad, I can explain." "No," Mr. Blackwell's voice cut sharp. "You will listen." Trevor froze. Mr. Blackwell turned slowly, his eyes colder than steel. "You stole her work. You humiliated her publicly. Do you have any idea what this does to our name?" Trevor swallowed hard. "She's just a maid's daughter. You're choosing her over your own son?" For the first time, Mr. Blackwell slammed his hand on the desk. "You're right. She is a maid's daughter, and yet she's everything you're not. Disciplined, humble, brilliant." Trevor's jaw clenched. "So you're replacing me with her?" "I'm giving the company to whoever deserves it, not whoever was born into it." Trevor stormed out of the office, rage burning through him. As he passed Lena's workspace, she looked up quietly. He glared. "You think this is over?" he hissed. "You embarrassed me in front of my father, in front of everyone. You'll regret this." Lena didn't flinch. She simply replied, "Truth doesn't need revenge. It defends itself." Trevor's eyes narrowed. "We'll see about that." Late at midnight, Lena was still in the lab. The hum of machines was the only sound. She was testing her AI, Project Nova 2.0, when suddenly her monitor flickered. Her screen went black. Then red text appeared. "System breach detected." Heart racing, she dove into the console. Someone was deleting her files remotely. "No," she whispered, typing furiously. But it was too fast. The code vanished, line by line, like sand slipping through her fingers. She checked the source of the hack, tblackwell@arctech.com. Her breath caught. Trevor. The next morning, chaos exploded in Arctech headquarters. Every system was down. Servers crashed, client data corrupted, millions of dollars worth of projects gone. And in the middle of it all,
Trevor played his move. He stormed into the boardroom with security behind him. "Sir," he said to his father, voice full of false confidence, "it's Lena. She tampered with the system. I caught the breach last night." Lena, summoned moments later, entered the room pale but calm. "Sir, I didn't—" Trevor interrupted, waving a tablet. "Here's proof, security logs from her workstation." He had forged everything. The board members murmured in shock. Mr. Blackwell's expression was unreadable. "Lena," he said quietly, "do you have anything to say?" Lena looked at him with steady eyes. "Yes, the truth." She reached into her bag and pulled out a small, round device, a micro-drone. "I installed this after Trevor tried stealing my files the first time. It records motion and sound from my desk." Played. Trevor's voice echoed through the room. "Come on, delete, delete. No one's going to believe her after this. She's finished." Gasps filled the boardroom. Trevor's face drained white. He lunged forward, trying to grab the device. "Stop that! It's fake! It's—" "Enough!" Mr. Blackwell's voice thundered. He stood, looking directly at his son, not with anger now, but something worse: disappointment. "Trevor Blackwell, you're suspended from all company operations effective immediately." "Dad," "And until further notice, you will not step foot in this building." Trevor's hands shook. "You can't— You're choosing her over me?" His voice broke quietly. "No, Trevor. You chose this." As security escorted Trevor out, the cameras caught every moment. It became viral within hours. Billionaire's son exposed for sabotage. The internet called Lena the girl who stood up for truth. Lena continued working at Arctech. Under her supervision, Project Nova evolved into something beyond anyone's expectations, an AI that could read and respond to emotion in real time. Mr. Blackwell often visited the lab now, not as a boss, but almost as a mentor. "Your mother must be proud," he said one evening as they stood overlooking the city. Lena smiled softly. "She says she still can't believe people listen to me now." "She raised someone extraordinary," he said quietly. "You remind me of myself when I was young, hungry to prove the world wrong. I'm not trying to prove them wrong anymore. I'm trying to make something right." Meanwhile, Trevor had vanished from public view until one day, news broke. He'd been caught attempting to sell stolen Arctech prototypes overseas. He was arrested, handcuffed, and walked past cameras flashing relentlessly. When Mr. Blackwell saw it on the news, he didn't speak for a long time. Lena, who was standing nearby, placed a hand on his shoulder. "Sometimes people have to lose everything to see what really matters," she said quietly. He nodded. "And sometimes they have to meet someone brave enough to teach them." A massive global tech conference was being held in Tokyo. Lena was the youngest speaker ever invited. Her presentation, Empathy in Artificial Intelligence, brought the crowd to their feet. She didn't speak like a scientist. She spoke like a human, about the girl who used to clean floors, dreaming about machines that could feel. Her words echoed. "You don't need to be born powerful to change the world. You just need to be brave enough to care when others don't." Thunderous applause filled the hall. Afterwards, reporters swarmed her, but among them, Mr. Blackwell appeared. He handed her a sleek envelope with a faint smile. "Official partnership offer. Arctech wants to launch Project Nova as a new division under your leadership." Lena's eyes widened. "My leadership?" "You earned it," he said simply. "And if you'll allow it, I'd like to be your first investor." Lena laughed softly. "Sir, that's the best kind of full circle." In the heart of the city stood a new tower, the Nova Institute. On the top floor, a gold plaque read, "Founded by Lena and Rosa, for the dreamers who started with nothing." Her mother now worked as the head of maintenance, proudly wearing a new uniform embroidered with the Nova symbol. The same halls where Lena once mopped the floors now echoed with her voice, giving talks to young inventors from around the world. One afternoon, she stood by the large window, watching the sunset reflect off glass towers. Eli entered, smiling. "You still stand here every day?" Lena smiled. "Reminds me where I came from." He grinned. "And where you're going?" She turned to him, the fading sunlight catching in her eyes. "Somewhere my mother can finally rest easy, knowing I made her struggle worth it." They laughed softly, their silhouettes framed against the orange sky. Months later, Lena received a letter. The handwriting was messy, but familiar. It was from Trevor. "Lena, I don't expect forgiveness, but prison teaches you things money never could. I saw the news. You made something beautiful out of all the broken pieces I caused. You deserved to win. You always did. Trevor."
She folded the letter gently, setting it beside her trophy from the science fair, the one that started it all. Rosa walked in with 2 cups of tea. "Everything okay, mija?" Lena smiled faintly. "Yeah, just finally okay." Her mother smiled and kissed her forehead. "Told ya, truth never loses." 3 years had passed since the day the Nova Institute opened its glass doors to the world. Under Lena's leadership, it became one of the most innovative and humanitarian AI labs on the planet, building programs that could detect early signs of depression, create smart prosthetics, and even translate emotions into color and sound for the deaf community. The media called her the heart of Silicon Valley. But success has a strange way of attracting storms, and one was about to strike. It started with an alert one Monday morning. Lena walked into the lab, coffee in hand, as her main server monitor blinked crimson. Unauthorized data request detected. Eli, now her chief engineer, frowned. "Someone's inside the network again. They're trying to duplicate our emotion engine." Lena's heart dropped. Not again. For the next 48 hours, her entire team worked without sleep. Every time they closed a breach, another opened, like a hydra. Finally, Eli sighed. "Lena, this isn't random. Whoever's doing this knows our system from the inside. They understand our code structure." Lena froze. "You mean one of us?" Eli nodded slowly. "Or someone who used to be." 3 nights later, a storm rolled across the city. Rain lashed against the glass tower of Nova Institute. Lena was alone in her office, the only light coming from her holographic monitor. Suddenly, the elevator dinged. Footsteps echoed down the hall. She looked up as the door opened and froze. Trevor stood there. His hair was shorter, his suit old but clean. His eyes held something she had never seen in them before: humility. "Lena," he began softly, voice low, "you're the last person who wants to see me, but you need to hear this." Lena's guard rose instantly. "Security!" He lifted his hands. "Please, I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here to help." They sat across from each other in silence, the sound of thunder outside filling the room. Trevor finally spoke. "I've been tracking a black market AI group, the same ones who bought stolen Architect code from me years ago. They're the ones attacking your system." Lena stared, skeptical. "And why would you warn me?" He looked down. "Because I caused this. I gave them their start, and now they're after your emotion engine. They want to use it to manipulate emotion in digital ads, politics, even military software." Lena's stomach tightened. "You expect me to believe you've changed?" He met her gaze, his voice breaking slightly. "I spent 2 years in prison, thinking about what I'd become. You built something good,
something human. And I can't undo what I did, but I can stop them from destroying what you built. Silence. Only the rain. Finally, Lena exhaled. If you're lying, he interrupted softly, then you'll never have to see me again. She studied his face. The same arrogance once carved there was now replaced by exhaustion. Fine, she said quietly. One chance. For the next week, Trevor and Lena worked side by side, awkward at first, but professional. He mapped out the hacking patterns while Lena rebuilt the system's emotional firewall. At one point, Rosa brought them tea and paused at the door, eyes wide. "Mija, is that?" Lena smiled faintly. "Yes, Mama, but he's different now." Rosa's eyes softened, though wary. People can change, but only if they remember who they hurt. Trevor heard her and nodded silently. By the 5th day, Trevor found it. "The source," he said, pointing to a line of code. "They're using an old Arctic protocol, one only my father and I had access to." Lena frowned. "Your father?" Trevor nodded. "He's been under pressure from shareholders since I was gone. They want him to hand over our AI models to competitors." Lena's voice went cold. "You're saying this hack leads back to Arctech?" Trevor hesitated. "Not directly, but one of their ex-developers, a man named Kiran Shah, leads the hacker group now. And they're meeting tonight, off-grid." Midnight. Rain still poured as Trevor and Lena arrived at an abandoned shipping warehouse near the docks. Inside, rows of monitors glowed in the dark, cables snaking across the floor. Men in hooded jackets typed rapidly, their screens filled with stolen Nova code. Lena whispered, "We need proof." Trevor nodded, pulling out a small recording drone. They crept closer, but one of the hackers turned. "Wait! Someone's here!" Lena froze. Then chaos erupted. Shouts, alarms, red lights flashing. Trevor grabbed her hand. "Run!" They darted through the maze of crates as guards chased behind them. A gunshot cracked through the air, splintering a wooden beam inches from Lena's face. They reached a side door, locked. Trevor slammed his shoulder against it, once, twice. Finally, it burst open, and they stumbled into the rain. As they ran toward the car, Lena yelled, "Did you get the proof?" Trevor held up the drone, flashing green. "Everything's recorded." The next morning, headlines exploded. "Illegal AI syndicate exposed. Former Blackwell heir provides evidence." Nova Institute safe. Hackers arrested in global raid. Interpol confirmed the data leak was traced to the underground group led by Kiran Shah, who had stolen Arctech blueprints years prior. Trevor's evidence cleared Lena and preserved Nova's reputation. When the press asked Lena about Trevor, she simply said, "Redemption isn't erasing the past. It's rebuilding trust, one truth at a time." Days later, on the roof of the Nova Institute, the two stood side by side watching the sunrise. Neither spoke for a while. Finally, Lena said, softly, "So, what will you do now?" Trevor looked out over the city. "Start over. Maybe build something small, honest." Lena smiled faintly. "You could stay here, help with Nova's ethics division. We need someone who understands both sides." Trevor's eyes widened. "After everything I did?" She nodded. "Sometimes the best protectors are the ones who've seen what needs protecting." He swallowed hard, emotion flickering behind his eyes. "Lena, thank you. You didn't just save my life. You gave it meaning again." Months passed. Trevor officially joined Nova as Director of System Integrity, a position that turned his guilt into purpose. He visited schools, talking about the dangers of greed and the power of second chances. At one ceremony, A journalist asked Lena, "Do you ever regret forgiving him?" She smiled softly. "No, because forgiveness isn't weakness, it's wisdom. You can't change what broke you, but you can decide how to heal from it." Trevor stood beside her, looking humbled, not as a billionaire's son, but as a man reborn. On the anniversary of Nova's founding, Lena organized a charity concert to fund scholarships for underprivileged girls in science. The hall was filled with light and music, just like the old days when she'd stood beside a piano as the maid's daughter, afraid to touch the keys. Now she was on the stage, confident, graceful, playing a song she composed herself. As the last note faded, she looked up at the crowd. "To every girl who's ever been told she's not enough, remember, even if they try to bury you in shame, you can bloom through stone." The audience rose in a standing ovation. 10 years later, Nova Institute had campuses in 20 countries. Thousands of young women, once cleaners, daughters of farmers, and orphans, became scientists, musicians, and engineers. And at the heart of it all stood a quote engraved on the lobby wall. "She was a maid's daughter, but she cleaned the dust off the future."